Andrew Neil, renowned for his incisive interviewing style and razor-sharp analysis, has long been a figure of significant influence in British media. His latest encounter with Prime Minister Keir Starmer during a high-profile political interview sent shockwaves through the corridors of power and sparked widespread debate across the nation. Starmer, a former director of public prosecutions and leader of the Labour Party since 2020, has often been lauded for his forensic approach to politics and ability to present himself as a steady hand in turbulent times. Neil's critical dismantling of Starmer's record in office offered a stark contrast to this image, leaving many questioning the effectiveness of his tenure and the broader implications for British politics. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Neil's interrogation was an unrelenting examination of Starmer's promises, achievements, and political maneuvers since taking office. Central to the encounter was a rigorous dissection of Starmer's ability to fulfill the ambitious pledges that propelled him to the leadership of the Labour Party. Neil began by scrutinizing the foundational promises Starmer made when he assumed leadership, pledges rooted in transparency, progressive values, and the restoration of public trust in politics. As Neil systematically deconstructed these commitments, he exposed a pattern of compromises and reversals that undermined the Prime Minister's credibility. This approach highlighted a recurring criticism of Starmer's leadership, his perceived tendency to prioritize political expediency over steadfast adherence to principles. One of the most contentious topics during the interview was Starmer's handling of the economy, particularly in light of the profound challenges posed by the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing cost of living crisis. Neil's interrogation delved into Starmer's policies on taxation, public spending, and economic recovery, questioning whether his government had done enough to alleviate the hardships faced by ordinary Britons. Neil juxtaposed Starmer's rhetoric of compassion and justice with the reality of economic measures that some critics argue have disproportionately affected vulnerable communities. This line of questioning not only put the Prime Minister on the defensive, but also opened a broader dialogue about the nature of economic recovery and the role of government in addressing systemic inequality. Education and healthcare, two cornerstone issues for any Labour government, also came under intense scrutiny. Neil's questioning revealed gaps between Starmer's stated goals and the tangible outcomes of his policies. On education, Neil challenged the government's response to post-pandemic learning deficits, pressing Starmer on whether his administration had delivered sufficient resources and reforms to address these pressing issues. Similarly, healthcare policy was a battleground, with Neil probing the persistent struggles of the National Health Service (NHS), including staffing shortages, extended waiting times, and declining public satisfaction. Starmer's attempts to defend his record were met with relentless counterpoints, as Neil underscored the disparities between government announcements and the lived experiences of citizens. The issue of leadership and party unity was another focal point. Neil highlighted internal rifts within the Labour Party, questioning Starmer's ability to unite a fractured political landscape. From his handling of dissenting voices within his party to his approach to balancing traditional Labour values with the demands of a broader electoral base, Starmer faced a barrage of pointed questions. Neil's critique extended to Starmer's public persona, interrogating whether his cautious, lawyerly demeanor had stifled his ability to inspire and galvanize a nation in need of bold vision and decisive leadership. For many viewers, this line of questioning encapsulated the enduring challenge of Starmer's premiership, his struggle to reconcile pragmatism with the passionate advocacy that defines transformative leadership. Foreign policy, though often a secondary issue in domestic interviews, also featured prominently. Neil questioned Starmer's stance on key international matters, from the war in Ukraine to the United Kingdom's relationship with the European Union post-Brexit. By emphasizing inconsistencies in the government's approach to these issues, Neil painted a picture of a prime minister navigating complex geopolitical waters without a clear and coherent strategy. This added another layer to the critique of Starmer's leadership, suggesting that his administration had yet to carve out a distinct and effective role for the UK on the global stage. Throughout the interview, Neil's mastery of the art of forensic questioning was on full display. His ability to weave together detailed research, incisive commentary, and unflinching persistence created a compelling narrative that held both Starmer and the audience captive. The intensity of the exchange left little room for evasive answers or platitudes, forcing Starmer to confront uncomfortable truths about his time in office. For some, this was a rare and necessary moment of accountability. For others, it bordered on an ambush, raising questions about the role of media in shaping political discourse. The implications of Neil's takedown extend far beyond the immediate spectacle of the interview itself. For Starmer, the encounter represented a critical test of his resilience and rhetorical agility. The Prime Minister's responses, or lack thereof, are likely to shape public perceptions of his leadership in the months to come. For the Labour Party, the interview underscored the ongoing challenge of defining its identity and priorities in a rapidly changing political landscape. And for British politics as a whole, the exchange served as a reminder of the enduring power of journalism to hold leaders to account and provoke meaningful dialogue about the state of the nation. While the immediate reactions to the interview were polarized, the broader implications are profound and far-reaching. For supporters of Andrew Neil's approach, the encounter reaffirmed the importance of rigorous scrutiny in a democratic society. In their view, Neil's relentless questioning was not only justified, but necessary to expose the limitations of political leadership and foster informed public debate. For critics, however, the interview raised concerns about the adversarial nature of modern political journalism and its potential to overshadow substantive policy discussions with moments of theatrical confrontation. In the aftermath of the interview, Starmer's team faces a formidable task, crafting a narrative that reaffirms his vision for the country while addressing the vulnerabilities exposed by Neil's critique. The exchange has undoubtedly amplified existing debates about the direction of Starmer's leadership and the Labour Party's ability to offer a compelling alternative to the Conservative government. It has also reignited broader discussions about the role of media in shaping public perceptions of political figures and the boundaries between accountability and antagonism. For many observers, the interview highlighted the enduring tension between the demands of political leadership and the expectations of a skeptical and often unforgiving public. Starmer's time in office has been marked by a series of unprecedented challenges, from navigating the aftermath of Brexit to managing the social and economic fallout of the pandemic. While these circumstances have undoubtedly complicated his ability to deliver on his promises, they have also heightened the stakes of his leadership. Neil's critique captured this tension in stark terms, presenting Starmer as a leader caught between the competing demands of pragmatism and idealism. Neil's takedown of Starmer is likely to remain a defining moment of his tenure, a moment that encapsulates the challenges and contradictions of his leadership. For better or worse, it has forced both Starmer and the nation to confront uncomfortable truths about the state of British politics and the difficult choices that lie ahead. Whether it serves as a catalyst for change or a cautionary tale about the pitfalls of modern political journalism, the encounter will undoubtedly leave a lasting imprint on the public consciousness, shaping the narrative of Starmer's premiership for years to come. The implications of Andrew Neil's pointed interrogation of Prime Minister Keir Starmer stretch across multiple dimensions, creating a moment that resonates beyond the immediate impact of the exchange. While the interview focused heavily on policy and governance, it also brought to the fore deeper questions about Starmer's capacity to project a sense of purpose and connect with the public in a manner that inspires trust and confidence. To dissect the layers of this encounter and its broader implications, it is necessary to delve into the nuanced interplay of political strategy, leadership ethos, and the evolving expectations of a modern electorate. One of the most striking aspects of the interview was the meticulous precision with which Neil targeted the discrepancies between Starmer's rhetoric and his record. This dynamic is emblematic of a wider issue facing political leaders today: the heightened scrutiny brought about by an increasingly informed and skeptical public. Voters now have unparalleled access to information, allowing them to cross-reference political claims with factual evidence in real time. Neil's line of questioning effectively mirrored this phenomenon, holding Starmer to account in a manner that reflected the public's growing demand for authenticity and substance in politics. This alignment between media interrogation and public sentiment amplifies the stakes for leaders, who must now navigate a more complex terrain of accountability. The structural challenges of Starmer's tenure also came into sharper focus during the interview, As leader of a party still recovering from a bruising electoral defeat in 2019, Starmer inherited a Labour Party divided over its identity and future direction. Balancing the progressive aspirations of its left-wing faction with the pragmatic concerns of centrist voters has proven to be an arduous task. Neil's critique shone a spotlight on this balancing act, probing whether Starmer's attempts to reconcile these competing forces had diluted his ability to articulate a coherent and compelling vision. This critique not only challenged Starmer's personal leadership, but also raised broader questions about Labour's capacity to position itself as a viable alternative to the Conservatives in the next general election. Another critical theme that emerged was the evolving role of charisma in political leadership. Historically, figures like Tony Blair and Margaret Thatcher wielded their personal magnetism as a key tool for galvanizing public support and consolidating power. In contrast, Starmer's style has often been characterized as methodical and reserved, a stark departure from the more emotive populist leadership styles that have gained traction in recent years. Neil's interrogation highlighted the limitations of this approach, particularly in an era where voters are increasingly drawn to leaders who can evoke a sense of passion and urgency. For Starmer, the challenge lies in finding a way to infuse his leadership with greater emotional resonance without compromising the substance and steadiness that have become his trademarks. This tension between style and substance also underscores a broader cultural shift in the way political success is measured. In an age dominated by social media and 24-hour news cycles, the ability to craft and control a compelling narrative has become a critical component of effective leadership. Neil's relentless questioning served as a reminder of the importance of not only having robust policies, but also communicating them in a manner that captures the public's imagination. For Starmer, this means stepping beyond his comfort zone as a technocrat and embracing the role of a storyteller who can articulate a vision that resonates on both an intellectual and emotional level. The implications of Neil's critique extend beyond Starmer's personal leadership to the broader dynamics of governance and policy making in the UK. By highlighting gaps in policy implementation and outcomes, Neil's questioning revealed the systemic challenges facing any government attempting to deliver meaningful change in the current political climate. From navigating the economic fallout of the pandemic to addressing entrenched social inequalities, the scale and complexity of these challenges require a level of coordination and innovation that has often eluded successive governments. For Starmer, the interview underscored the need for a more holistic approach to governance, one that not only focuses on immediate policy priorities, but also lays the groundwork for long-term structural reforms. Moreover, the encounter highlighted the interplay between domestic politics and international relations. As the UK continues to grapple with the fallout of Brexit and its implications for trade, diplomacy, and national identity, the role of the Prime Minister as a statesman on the global stage has taken on heightened significance. Neil's questioning about Starmer's foreign policy stance served as a reminder of the interconnectedness of domestic and international issues, challenging the Prime Minister to articulate a vision for the UK's place in a rapidly changing world. This dimension of the interview added another layer to the critique of Starmer's leadership, suggesting that his administration has yet to fully grasp or address the geopolitical challenges of the 21st century. The aftermath of the interview will likely see intensified scrutiny of Starmer's policy agenda and leadership style, both from within his party and across the broader political spectrum. For Labour, the encounter represents a pivotal moment in its ongoing effort to rebuild its identity and restore public trust. The party's ability to weather this storm will depend not only on Starmer's capacity to respond effectively, but also on its willingness to engage in a deeper introspection about its values, priorities, and approach to politics. This process of reflection and adaptation will be critical as Labour seeks to position itself as a credible alternative to the Conservative government in the next general election. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Andrew Neil's critique of Keir Starmer's time in office? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.